Hi. So some of you have asked why our new YouTube channel as a family is called Eating Elephants. The reason it's called Eating Elephants is because that's how we get through life every day in the Day family. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Sometimes things seem overwhelming and it seems like we're not going to make it through some of the challenges that we're faced, just like everybody. But if we break it down into one bite at a time, sometimes the things that we're facing don't seem so difficult. So this is my first video, and it's a video that I want to share with you kind of the reason we're doing this, and then also share a story that happened to me recently with my son that I talk about in classes that I give all the time, and it seems to really help. And my goal as my part of this YouTube channel is to bring stories like this and inspiration about once a week. I don't think that it is a bad thing to be inspired by others. I look for inspiration everywhere. And if I can do this once a week, I find that maybe I will find some healing as well. I have dedicated myself that I am not going to edit any video or redo any video because that's more real, right? So if I mistakenly say something wrong or I misspeak, I refuse to go back and start over. Everything is going to be first take. So here goes. Some of you know our challenges. Some of you are just joining us, but the Day family have faced a lot of challenges in the last 5-6 years, and it's not over for us. I've recently been diagnosed with Sjogren's disease with autoimmune hepatitis, and that's our newest battle. But that's just part of our story. Each member of the Day family will be adding videos, and we'll add videos of things we love, things that make us happy, things that have allowed us to cope when life gets challenging. So it won't just be about the Sjogren's, it won't just be about gaming with Boston, and it'll just be a mixture of everything. So we hope that if this video inspires you in some way, go to our channel, like us, follow us, because with that, maybe we can help others. Share the videos with maybe someone that it might help, someone who needs a laugh or inspiration, and don't we all need those things every now and then? So to the story. My son, his name is Boston. He's 10 years old. And you'll get to meet Boston and get to know him very well. And one of the first things you'll probably recognize about him is he has a heart as big as Texas. This boy has such a big heart and he cares so deeply. I think sometimes it's a blessing and a curse. Because with that big heart, Boston feels everything so immensely. Pain, happiness, sadness, and not just his own, everybody around him. So Boston one day was having a hard day. Now, we've all had bad days, right? We've all had bad days. Well, Boston was having a difficult day, and he reached out to me and he tapped me on the shoulder as I was doing dishes, and he said, "Mom, can I talk to you?" Well, I'm a mom, and I was busy, and we're all human, right? So I said, "Not right now, Boston, I'm busy." And he tapped me on the shoulder again, and he said, "No, Mom, can we talk?" I looked over at Boston, and he had these big crocodile tears just streaming down his face, and I immediately felt guilty for brushing him aside. And I said, "Oh my gosh, what's wrong? What's wrong, Boston?" Because I assumed that like a dog had died or something major had happened, and so I was really petrified. And he said, "I got a C on my spelling test." I took a deep breath and I said, "Oh my goodness, it's not such a bad thing, right? It's not the end of the world." And maybe it was more than the spelling test because Boston was upset, obviously. So I decided to ask him if he wanted to go for a walk. And I said, "Boston, you want to go for a walk? Let's go for a walk around the block and just talk. Just you and me." We walked around the block and I asked him, "Boston, what is a good day? What does that mean for you?" And he thought for a moment. And he said, "Well, a good day is when nothing goes wrong, right?" It broke my heart. Because have you ever had a day where nothing goes wrong? I've not ever had a day where nothing goes wrong. Some little thing will go wrong every day. And sometimes it's a lot more than just a little thing. And sometimes it's multiples. So it broke my heart to think that this was the way he determined whether his days were good or bad. That every day, if one little thing went wrong, that meant it was a bad day. So I thought, how am I going to help my 10-year-old son see the world differently? How am I going to help him with such a grown-up topic? How can I help him understand? So I said, Boston, do you remember when we used to watch SpongeBob SquarePants as a family? And Boston said, yeah, I remember that. Well, do you remember the episode where Mr. Krabs lost his shell? And he kind of giggled and he said, yeah, I remember that one. Well, what did Mr. Krabs look like underneath his shell? He looked like a big ball of bubble gum. He was mushy and ugly, and he was scared of the world, and it was petrifying for him because he had no shell, and now he was vulnerable to everything and everybody. And I knew I was getting through to him because he remembers that episode. And I said, do you know that that's real? Well, what do you mean, Mom? Well, lobsters shed their shells. Their shells are strong and rigid, and they cannot grow with the shell on. In order for the lobster to get larger, it has to shed its shell. So it has to shed that shell and be vulnerable for a while to the world. But do you know what makes that lobster know it's time to shed its shell? Discomfort and pain. If the lobster never felt discomfort and pain, it would never shed its shell and grow into a new one that's more comfortable and larger, and he gets bigger. Well, that was something that Boston understood, and it's something that I'll never forget. Because now when we have bad days, and we all have them, some days are a lot harder than others, we remind each other that we're just the lobster, and we're just growing our new, more comfortable shell. Without the bad things, you wouldn't have the good things. So do we have, will it ever not be hard? Not ever. There'll always be hard times. There'll always be things that knock us on our ass. But if we look at it a little differently, maybe we can understand life a little better. We're just growing our shell. Be like the lobster. It's helped us immensely. It's a motto in our family. We have lots of them. So when we have a bad day, we look at each other and say, be the lobster. Lean into your discomfort. I hope that this video has helped you in some way. And if you know someone who's going through their own tough times, maybe share the Lobster Story. Share the video. Go like our page, because we would love for you to join us on our journey with Team Day. And we hope that in our life's journey, unedited, real and raw, that we can just help at least one person. And then there's purpose in our pain. Love you guys. Keep trucking and live like the lobster.